right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order, and it's 5:17. Today's date is Monday, December 13th, 2021. I'm going to call roll call now. So if you're here, please say aye. We'll do Elder Corpus Dax. Please unmute yourself and say aye, please. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't even catch that. Okay, I'm just going to continue with roll call, and then we'll get back to her. Is that okay? Okay. Commissioner John Shelton,
Present.
Commissioner Michael Vinson,
He might have stepped away too.
Commissioner Michael Vinson.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Saeed Hassan.
Present.
Okay. And then Joseph Walds. Do we have to take? No? Okay. And then Raya's okay too then, right? Okay. And then we're missing 3 other commissioners, Commissioner Ortiz, Commissioner Grignon, and Commissioner Kostyka, who are not present today, correct? Okay. All right. Okay, Commissioner Isaac is not here. And then we're waiting to hear from,
There she is.
okay. Hi, Alder Corpus Dax. We're taking roll call right now. So if you can say aye, that you're present.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. In our last meeting, we did not approve of the minutes for the previous two meetings. So that is up right now. So if you have a motion to adjust the minutes, please let me know now. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and approve those minutes.
We can do the agenda. The agenda's
Oh,
up right
sorry.
now. Yep, not a problem. Approve the
Excuse
agenda
me.
first, but then the next one will be the minutes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve the agenda. And the agenda, there's 2 items, excuse me. 2 items. The first is for the strategy session, and then the second is for the EMI score, and Raya would be giving a little background on that. So we have those 2 items. Do we have any adjustments that need to be made? If not, can I get a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. First motion by Commissioner Shelton and second by, was that Alder Corpus Dax?
Yes.
Okay, so then the agenda is approved.
We should vote on that, actually.
Oh, sorry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All not in favor, please say nay. Okay, motion to approve the agenda passes. All right, so we're going to go next to the previous 2 meeting minutes. If you guys see that there's any changes that need to be made, please make a motion for that. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and approve that.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for August 16th, 2021 and November 15th of 2021.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, so the motion to approve the minutes of the last 2 meetings passes. the next thing that we wanted to do was to do a quick brainstorm activity with everyone. And so we were hoping to just kind of use this activity to jog our brains about what the commission is about and just kind of realign everyone. So I'm going to ask everyone to take 2 to 3 minutes to write 2 to 3 sentences on what you feel our mission is as this commission, as an equal rights commission. So go ahead. You can feel free to use your phone if you need to look up some terms or things like that. But I'll give you guys 2 to 3 minutes to do that. And once time is up, I'll call everyone back together, and we'll put all of our sentences together. And the key here is to still make it concise. Just have it be 2 to 3 sentences, even within the larger group. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, it looks like everyone's nodding their head. So go ahead, take 2 to 3 minutes and jot down some ideas or sentences about what you think this commission, what our goals are. All right, I'll give everyone about another minute or so.
I feel
before
very
we-
pressured. This must be what my students feel like.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
That's what I say, but I'm still feeling pressure.
right, so I'm going to call everyone back to the table here. So I think, what'll work best if we quickly go through everyone's sentences, if that's okay with everyone, and then we can combine the sentences together. Does anyone want to volunteer and go first? Feel free to unmute yourself.
I'll go first. I have the ERC's mission is to promote equality through education and community engagement.
Thank you.
I have one sentence, sorry.
No, that's perfect.
I can go next. Mine is to monitor and assess the city's activities to foster equality and inclusion within city government and to be a connecting point for diversity, equity, and inclusion within the broader community.
Thank you.
I can go.
Okay.
I just want to say first, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this activity. I think it's a really good idea, so thank you, Chairperson Yang. So this is what I wrote, and I'm sorry it's a little wordy, but I am a professor after all, so sorry. This commission's goals are to ensure Green Bay is a place where everyone in the community and all their diversity has access to equal opportunities and equal citizenship. Having equality means that everyone is able to have their basic human needs met, including the right to a sustaining job for all who want to work, the right to housing, the right to health care, and the right to a high-quality education. This commission should take steps toward ensuring everyone in our community can access those rights in equal terms.
Wow, that was excellent. Thank you.
Can you actually read it again,
Sure.
Commissioner Shelton?
Sure. This commission's goals are to ensure Green Bay is a place where everyone in the community and all their diversity has access to equal opportunities and equal citizenship. Having equality means that everyone is able to have their basic human needs met, including the right to a sustaining job for all who want to work, the right to housing, the right to health care, and the right to a high-quality education. This commission should take steps toward ensuring everyone in our community can access those rights in equal terms.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner John Shelton. It's not easy to talk after a professor, but mine is the role of ERC is to build. A catalyst for effective change by bringing people and ideas together to devise solutions and build capacity.
Thank you, Saeed. All right, and then I guess it's my turn. So I wrote, the City of Green Bay's Equal Rights Commission was created to eliminate discrimination within city limits as best as possible through advocating for those who don't have equal and fair opportunities. And that was, yep. All right, so am I missing anyone? Okay, so we can move on to the next step, which is to come together and combine all of our sentences. And the key is to keep it within 2 to 3 sentences. So we can, I think, a great way to start off is kind of going through each of our sentences and kind of picking out some key words, key phrases or words that we think really resemble our mission for this commission.
If you want to kind of facilitate this, and I'll take notes.
Yeah,
Yeah?
perfect.
Okay.
So one thing that I heard from Commissioner Dax, promote, that was a word that she used, and engagement. I think those 2 words are pretty key in our commission. Are there any other words that from anyone else that you guys heard that you think resemble the goals of this commission? feel free to just jump in and unmute yourselves. This isn't meant to be formal or anything. I don't mean to be speaking a lot. I hope this is more of a conversational activity.
I liked language around building capacity. And that was key.
I wanted to get an idea of what everyone thought of the words equality and equity, because I heard that in two different sections, or two different people's phrases or sentences. So I just wanted to hear, are those words or terms that are fair to use in our mission, or is one better than the other?
Let me ask this. How faithful do we feel like we need to be to the actual language that was approved by council in the ordinance? Or how much leeway do we have to deviate from the words used there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And this is not to be written in stone. This is something that is just going to be used as an exercise. So, I guess you can be as free from tying yourself from the ordinance as you want. I want this to be an activity that aligns everyone's vision. If that answers your question, I mean, use it as a guidance, the ordinance as a guidance, but I think that this is just to kind of gauge where we're all at with our thought process in this commission.
So your vision isn't, I may misunderstand what the vision is. Is it that this mission that we're developing together would be public facing and we would refer to it in our meetings in the future, or is it just about this moment in time and making sure we're all on the same page?
Correct. The second one is just for this moment in time, and it's just an activity to kind of get our brains jogging and before we strategize and talk a
Thank
little
you.
bit more about our next steps for this commission.
That's helpful.
Mm-hmm. So going back to my question of equality and equity and equal, those two words are those words that would be fair to use, or would equal be the term that we use if we're communicating to the public, if someone was to ask us what's our commission about? This is an open-ended question. This is just something I'm curious about. There's no right or wrong answers to it.
I mean, I think that there's advantages and disadvantages to using each term, right? I mean, because the difference between equality and equity is, equality has been used, to essentially sort of deny people the things that they need, right? It's also sort of a fundamental aspiration in a lot of like our nation's founding documents. So it's a term that I think a broader group of people understand, right? And so like if we could think about sort of redefining what equality, how we think about equality, which is why like one of the things I tried to do was bring in things like housing and healthcare, which I think in general probably a lot of people don't necessarily see as being something that people are entitled to, that's not part of what we think of as equality. That's one way to kind of go about it. But, equity, I think, does have a level of precision, right? I mean, a lot of people are, doing diversity, equity, inclusion stuff, or in higher ed, we're calling it equity, diversity, and inclusion, which seems to signify that, not everybody's going to, be sort of treated as if they're all on the same playing field, right? So, I think we probably want to think about maybe both terms going forward. But I don't know. I think there are advantages and disadvantages to each. I think this is a really good question, though.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that point of view, too. I mean, I think there's a place and purpose for each term. Something else that I thought was really great was Commissioner Shelton described kind of the needs. So in the categories such as jobs, housing, education, healthcare. And I think that's really important to note because it kind of gives us structure of how to prioritize and what direction to take. So, I mean, I guess the first sentence that we can probably write is the City of Green Bay's Equal Rights Commission. We can start off with that, right? Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
And then we can say was created or was established or however you guys see fit for that.
We have a lot of things on the table. And this really, I think Commissioner Vincent's question was really a good one, right? If we're thinking about this as sort of an internal facing document, we probably, can just kind of say something like, the goals of this, Equal Rights Commission are kind of this, and this, right? And then we can kind of think about how to operationalize that moving forward. So maybe like the goals of the city's Equal Rights Commission are, the things that I have on the table so far are promote engagement, building capacity.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't know if anybody has ideas about how to put that into a sentence.
Alder Corpus Dast, could you read your words again? I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I think my words were the ERC's mission is to promote, what were my words? Promote equality throughout the community through education and community engagement. Something along those lines.
Okay.
Could you read yours again, Commissioner Vinson?
Yeah. It was to monitor and assess the city's activities to foster equality and inclusion within the city government and to be a connecting point for diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the community.
Would you read just the first part again?
Yeah. To monitor and assess the city's activities to foster equality and inclusion within city government.
So I think we both said, Commissioner Vincent and I both said foster or promote equality, which I think could be one of them. I'm totally fine saying equity versus equality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to hop in for a minute and say I think it would be beneficial to the commission to recognize both equity and equality when creating a statement like this. They are different. While a lot of times people seek out the similarities between the two definitions, as Commissioner Shelton shared earlier, one has to do with leveling the playing field, one has to do with access and treatment. And so I think when we're shaping out language, it would be a positive for us to ensure that as we move forward as a commission that we're looking at doing both for the community.
Thank you, Raya. I think those are very valid points.
Commissioner Hassan, would you read yours again?
Yeah, affect change by bringing people together to devise solutions and build capacity. I love Commissioner Shelton's one, more specific. And later on, as other commissions alluded to, it's going to be a place where we can later on think about operationalizing those key areas.
So what about something like this? I'm just kind of, we can play around with it. Is there any way we can get something up on a screen that people can see? I do. I could just, I mean, I guess I could just put it in the chat, but
Well, I guess
Yeah,
you could
okay.
share yours.
this is kind of a Franken sentence, but, oh, whoops, I just deleted everything. There we go. But this might give us a starting point. I tried to just bring together a lot of things people were saying. I just put it in the chat. So the goals of the City of Green Bay's Equal Rights Commission are to monitor and assess city activities to foster equity and inclusion throughout city government and build capacity for equality in the community through education and community engagement. Some areas where we might seek to, I should say something like seek to do this work is in jobs, housing, healthcare, and education, something like that.
Yeah. Nicely done.
Thanks.
Yeah, I especially like how you tied the words build capacity for equality in the community, because I mean build capacity can mean so many things. So I think we tied that in very well.
Well, I think that's kind of what sorry, I'm still getting used to the commissioner thing. Commissioner Hassan, I want to just call him Saeed. But I think that's what Commissioner Hassan sort of meant with community engagement. So capacity. So I wanted to really kind of make sure that word was in there because I thought it was really good. So you think this is
I like this.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It's a good statement.
All right. I mean, if we're all in agreement, then I mean that was the activity, just to make sure that we were able to come together and agree on 2 to 3 sentences. So, like I was alluding to earlier, if there was anyone off the streets who asked us, we wouldn't be sitting there thinking, saying, I'm not sure, but this is somewhat of, what we'd say to someone, right? And like I said, this isn't written in stone. This is just an activity to kind of jog our brains, just to get us thinking about the commission and the goals, but this is absolutely not anything that is permanent. So this was just an icebreaker activity for us to do today. So as you can see, it was pretty tough. And it kind of showed us kind of where each one of us is at with our understanding of the commission. And it kind of sounds like we're all aligned a little bit. We used, similar terms, and I think, we were able to put together a really great phrase. So, yeah, that was the basis of this activity, but that was the activity. So, the next agenda, there's no action plans or no action item that needs to be taken.
Well, I just wanted to say, I think, what's really cool about this is how this is open to a lot of different things, right? We can still go in, I think, a lot of different directions because there's so many different things in this statement, right? Opportunities, and, so I think this was a really great place to start today. And I think we should make sure that the other commissioners who weren't here, just see this. They might have things to add, but just in terms of like, hey, we talked about this and this was sort of like kind of everybody's understanding. It might be good for them to kind of just see that and because I know this was like sort of just an opportunity for today, but I think if they could see it, that might be useful in terms of like framing their thinking too. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree
so I'm sorry to
100% with that.
cut you off. I just wanted
No,
to,
no, no. Thank you for bringing that up. That's very that's a good point to make, and maybe we can bring this up again for the next meeting, just to kind of so that we're all aligned once we have everyone back together. So thank you for that. Does anyone have any other comments about this activity or the sentences and phrase that we kind of came up with?
Just another comment of appreciation that we got to do it. It was valuable time spent.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move to the next agenda item, which was to strategize about where we take this next step. The last we left off, we talked about possibly having an event for the public, to engage with the public. But I think that we need to go into further detail and kind of make sure that we're aligned on that idea. And I'm going to let Commissioner Shelton lead us in this next agenda item here. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
yeah. So Commissioner Yang and I just had a conversation about how to best structure that what we're going to do today. And so we just came up with some questions that might guide, kind of planning something like this. And so I think maybe we should start, I feel a little bit uneasy about going too far into this process, given that we only have 5 of the commissioners here today. Because I think whatever we do, it's gonna involve, a decent amount of work. To make sure that we get a lot of people there and to make sure that we get the kind of conversation going that we want. So maybe we should just kind of start with that conversation. Like, I think we could kind of settle on a framework and go through some of the, questions that we had. But, I'm just curious what people think about, how much we can like really speak for the group when we only have a little more than half of the commissioners here today. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like commit people to a course of action that people aren't like comfortable with.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that at this point either if we're missing, how many are we missing?
4.
4? Yeah, I wouldn't want to commit anyone without knowing their capacity for being able to execute any action. So are we saying that we want to save this conversation for the next meeting, or what are we saying?
Well, maybe we talk about whoever's present here. Maybe we kind of talk about what everyone's idea is on how to engage with the public.
Yeah, and I think maybe, so the last time where we kind of left things off, we said maybe housing was something that we wanted to spend some time, getting community input and also, sort of learn from a lot of other experts in the community about, what kind of, but sort of both, right? Like experts defined very broadly. So like, people who are working on policy, but also, folks who, I'm looking up at the screen. I should be looking at in my laptop actually, because
Yeah, I was
I'm
looking up there
picturing
too.
them looking back at me, but they're not. So maybe housing was sort of an issue that we wanted to learn more about, but also galvanize a conversation about it. So I kind of feel like we agreed on that, but I mean we could certainly revisit that if folks aren't feeling that way. And so maybe what we do is we kind of just think about some broad parameters, as you're saying, for what we might want to do. And then I think maybe we need to have probably another meeting before we actually like, do anything that's too detailed. But if folks feel like we should just stop the conversation now and move it to the next time we have more folks and make sure we have more people here. I think that's a course of action we could take too, so open to what folks think for sure.
I will say that I have another meeting in 8 minutes.
Okay.
So that'll be part of the conversation much longer for today.
I think it would be a little bit longer, so maybe we should table it then and just kind of do it next time. Because then we're down to 4 people.
So then, do we do a motion for that, or?
Well, it's up to you guys. Yeah, we could do a motion to hold until the next meeting, and, we can work on maybe getting that, like, the second week of January to get it a little quicker. Yeah, I think that's what you do, just a motion to hold until the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I think if Commissioner Alder Corpus Dax has to leave the meeting, then I think it might be best for us to hold it. But, I mean, is that the consensus that we have from everyone? Does anyone else think that there's need to discuss further?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll make a motion, and then if somebody wants to second it, then we can discuss before we vote on it.
Okay.
So I'll move that we hold this until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, please say.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that if people want to talk about that, first, like.
Okay, are there any discussion points that anyone would like to talk about on that point?
So like if anybody objects, they could kind of bring that up now, is what I was kind of thinking.
Right now, we're just holding over the agenda item 1, which was consideration of possible action to discuss for future plans to receive community input and feedback.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But if anyone sees that there's a need to discuss further, we can definitely do that today too. But if not, then we'll go ahead and take a vote. So it looks like everyone is in consensus with that. So everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. So the motion to hold this conversation until the next, or to hold this agenda item for the next meeting passes. And so, I mean, that leads us to our second agenda item, which is to hear from Raya about really a fantastic score for the city of Green Bay, and she can go into a little bit more detail about that.
Sure. So I am very excited to announce that our equality index score for the municipality has jumped to 84 from 60. And I believe that Green Bay originally started around a 27. And so we have made some incredible progress with the help of several key players in this process. So we're very appreciative of all of the work that's gone into this. And I know I'm planning on going into further detail about this either in a January meeting or a February meeting where I kind of walk through more of this and give you some of the visual of what this looks like. This is an item that the mayor feels very passionately about. And we're really looking to create a Green Bay for all people. And so this index really allows us to hone in on where we're being successful. And then it also allows us to identify some areas where we can improve and grow. And so this index is, just for a little bit of background, comprised of a few different parts. And so those parts include non-discrimination laws, municipality kind of as an employer, municipality services, law enforcement, leadership of LGBTQ equality. And so those are the areas that comprise this scorecard. And then there are these different categories are also broken down a bit further. And so this lets us know where we're hitting the mark on certain pieces of that breakdown, and then where we have an opportunity to improve. So during our either January or February meeting, we can go into that a little bit further and look at how this commission would like to make some decisions regarding different areas on the scorecard of where we can kind of improve some of those things and some of those tasks that the commission may want to create in order to help improve that score even further. So just for a little bit more information, 100 is the highest score. There are some cities that do attain that number. And so as we continue to climb, we're looking for further progress as it relates to this index. I'm really excited to kind of see what more we can do in this space. I'm very pleased with the progress we've been able to make thus far. And I'm looking forward to kind of walking through this with everybody and looking at some specific areas for future focus. Any thoughts on this or questions on this or any of the information I've shared?
It's great work, and I think it would be wonderful to go into some detail at an upcoming meeting on where we make progress and where we need to continue to make progress. I'll share anecdotally within my organization professionally, we do track the index for all of the communities where we operate, and Green Bay has been on the list of one where we've got to improve because it does have an impact on our ability to attract and retain talent. And so thank you for the work that you've done to get us to this point.
Absolutely. And just for clarity, so in order to gain this number, there's a process that's put into place, and that's something that I help to oversee, and then I do the submission of the documentation to the Human Rights Campaign for this process and to attain this, or to formulate a number. And so that documentation is all due in July, generally speaking at the end of July, just for clarity surrounding a date as to which we would be submitting further documentation of things that have been improved upon for this past year. And then I think the score this year came out late November. So there's a little bit of time there while that's being processed by the Human Rights Campaign, otherwise known as the HRC. And so that's kind of the date in time that this commission would be looking at. This is annual, so it's an annual submission of documentation of policy updates, changes, expansions of certain work, things like that. So we can walk through that a little bit more together in the future. But I just wanted you all to have some idea of kind of how this process works, how we arrived here, and it helps us gain some direction as to where we're hoping to take this further.
Thank you, Raya, for sharing that with everyone. I think that's excellent, and it's amazing how great that the number that it jumped from 60 to 80 there. So I think that's a really great improvement. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what I guess where those numbers are jumping, and how it can improve, as Commissioner Vincent was saying as well.
Absolutely. I look forward to sharing that with you in the future.
All right, so I mean, we don't have to take any action items on that. So I mean, there's only one other thing to do, which is to adjourn the meeting, unless someone else has any discussion points that they want to talk about, bring up.
See, Commissioner Hassan just went off mute, so maybe he has something.
No.
Okay.
Were you going to move to adjourn?
Second.
Oh, well, I'll make that. Move to adjourn.
Okay, so move to adjourn by Shelton, and then second by Commissioner Said. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. All right, so with that being said, the meeting is adjourned.
Great.